From Lucky, Louisiana to Charm, Ohio. From Shamrock, Texas to St. Patrick, Missouri. Let's ride. We want to ride shotgun with you for the next hour, talking trucking with Deaton and Doty. Welcome to episode 46.
46.
My fellow Irishman.
Hello.
Scottish.
St. Patty's Day a couple weeks away, so we thought we'd throw some lucky cities in there. How's it going, Christian?
It's been a rough day, Russ.
You knew I was going right there.
Hey, I really appreciate you throwing me on the sword. Yeah, it's been a difficult day, but you know, it's
Yeah.
this is my favorite part.
Yeah.
So this is how we wrap up the day. So yeah, I'm good now.
Well, this week on Talkin Truckin with Deaton and Doty, as always, Christian Sneed from Roanoke, Virginia, Mike Doty from Florida, the original Florida man, Joel Howell, and we are going to cover some sports this week because we've missed a bunch, and even though there's not a lot going on,
All right.
except for maybe the stuff in baseball. That's why Joel has a glove in his background.
Or lack of.
Zach Kern, our producer, and as always, Kumar.
Hello.
Our drivers this week on the show, Ray. Ray, where are you at?
I'm in Backwoods, Kentucky right now. I don't know where I'm at.
Backwoods,
I'm a little.
Kentucky.
I'm actually a little nervous.
Thought he said Bangladesh.
Yeah.
There was, he's on a narrow road.
Bangladesh.
Yeah, he said 55 mile an hour road, but it's real narrow, and he's going 40 to be safe, and there's all kinds of cars behind him.
They're blowing their horn.
Jim Mackey. Jim, where are you at?
I am in Carrollton, Texas right now.
Carrollton, Texas. And Kevin. Are you in-
I'm coming through Augusta, Georgia right now.
Okay, I thought you might be in Georgia by now. And joining us again, Lee, sitting in for Nate, Lee Harrison. Lee, where are you at?
I'm in Holly Springs, Mississippi.
Holly Springs, Mississippi. Lee's been on our show many times. He sat in for Mike Doty. He sat in for, I don't know, somebody several times. And then he's sitting in for Nate for us this week.
And I'm sorry, Lee, I forgot to call you back today, buddy. That's on me.
He's been on.
Oh, that's okay.
In Christian's defense, I've been texting him today, and he's been on the phone on hold all day, so that might be why, Lee. And then trucking news. Ian had an appointment at the bank today, so Kumar's gonna take over the trucking news. And then Christian, Mike Doty, and I will talk a little bit about the trucking market. I wanted to also go over some of the effects. I've been kind of digging into this the last couple of days. What are some of the effects that we could feel from the war in Ukraine that could affect us in the trucking industry? It's already started, so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And then history of trucking, 1957 and 1980. So before we deep dive into all that, Joel, can you tell us what's going on in baseball? What's going on in the wide world of sports?
Yeah, forget the war. We need to get on to something important here. All right. Well, we're going to do.
I will say sports is it is a big relief because I've been glued to the news, and just like everybody else, it's scary what's going on out there. But I finally went back to listening to some sports radio this morning about 7 o'clock, and I usually listen to the same show, and it was like, man, I needed that because all I've been doing is filling my head with this war stuff, and it's tough, it's overwhelming. So
Yep.
Let's go, Joel. What's going on in sports?
All right. Well, what's up, sports fans? Welcome back to a segment with me, Joel Howell. Welcome back to the sports show that talks about truck prices and fuel mileage. But hey, here we are in March, as Russ explained. Haven't been on the show in a while. Congratulations, Rams, all the way back to the Super Bowl. Starting off with some NFL news or lack of the coaching carousel. What do we got in the NFL? We got the coaching
Well, the combine just started.
carousel. We got the extensions. No offers to Rodgers still, and still no for sure thing for Tom Brady.
Mike's like, wait, what? Tom Brady might come back. Mike.
Yeah, he'll let him know in late July after camp's over. But no, teams with new coaches in the NFL 2022. Kevin O'Donnell, the Vikings. Matt McCluris with the Bears. Brian DeBall with the Giants. Nathaniel Hackett with the Broncos. Doug Peterson with Jacksonville. Josh McDaniels with the LA Raiders. And Mike McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins. And as you know, the NFL stands for not for long. So good luck, guys.
So,
And
Joel, on that, Doug Peterson, that was the coach of Philly.
Philly, right.
Yeah, he got fired after the Super Bowl.
I mean, if the Super Bowl winner can get fired, anyone can get
yeah.
fired.
Well, he got fired a year later, but now he's coaching. I didn't even know that.
Yep, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, okay.
Pretty good gig down there.
Yeah, as long as he stays
Out of the stripper bars, right.
The bars in Ohio, like
Okay, Urban.
Urban did.
All right, staying with football over in the NCAA. It is spring football time again. March and April. Each school has a different schedule. More on that later. That is still on schedule. Unlike Major League Baseball, still no collective bargaining agreement between the billionaires and the millionaires. First two series already canceled. Hopefully they can get it together soon.
So what do you mean the first two series? Is it the first?
Yeah, so the first two series, like April 7th, I think, the regular season starts. So you have, a series is like 3 games.
Yeah,
So we're talking about a week.
About
here,
a week.
About 7 days.
that's already gone.
That's already gone.
Wow.
Yep. So
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
so,
the good thing for us here with the Cleveland Guardians is that when we do have an opening day, it might not be snowing if
Yeah.
it's put off.
and
a
we
week or
drew
two.
that. And you get tickets, right? Anytime you want.
Right.
All right, well, over to the NBA. Over in the standings, 20 games left for playoff time. Over in the East, still Miami, Chicago, Philly, and Milwaukee hold the leads in the East. Remember, the first 8 seeds get in the playoffs. Those teams will definitely get in. Over in the West, Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, and Utah still holding strong. Utah coming into Phoenix and quieting the crowd the other night. Not an easy thing to do. That's going to be a good playoff series.
Looks like our Cavaliers.
They're 5th.
Yeah, they're
so,
sitting good.
Yeah, they'll be in.
Hopefully.
Over in men's basketball, NCAA March Madness begins March 15th with the championship game on April the 4th. Currently, AP Top 24 starting at 10. Wisconsin, number 9. Providence, number 8. Purdue, number 7. Cats of Kentucky, number 6. Kansas, number 5. Auburn, number 4. Duke, number 3. Baylor, number 2. Arizona, number 1. Currently, the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
So you said Providence, number 9?
Providence, number 9.
That's a dark horse sleeper.
Well, that's how it is
right?
in basketball
Yeah.
and in college. You always get these teams you never heard of. But I have heard of Providence. No disrespect there, Providence. Russ said it, not me. Over in the NHL, my hockey goons. Over in the East, Tampa Bay still holding on in the Atlantic, in the Metro, Carolina. Out west in the Central, Colorado Avalanche. In the Pacific, the Calgary Flames, formerly the Atlanta Flames. More on football. USFL 2022. 8 teams begin spring. April 16th through July the 3rd will be the championship game. We have the Pittsburgh Maulers. We have the Michigan Panthers, Birmingham Stallions, the New Orleans Breakers, Tampa Bay Bandits, Philadelphia Stars, Houston Gamblers, and the New Jersey Generals. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe they can hang on longer than one season. And over NASCAR, Sunday, March 6th in Las Vegas, the next big event. And that is what's happening as of March.
And there you have it, sports
MMA.
fans.
Kumar, if you got anything?
Got any MMA?
Got any
for our
MMA
drivers?
business?
Who is that? Cain Velasquez?
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Yeah. So he's a part of the UFC. Well, he was a 2-time champion, and he reportedly shot one guy.
Really?
Not fatally though, and he was arrested on attempted murder. But apparently, I won't go too far into this, but there's no good reason to shoot somebody. But I mean, some facts surfaced that kind of showed, why he did it.
So Kumar, who was the guy that I mentioned to you last week. I don't watch wrestling or MMA, but I read an article and this dude is a giant. It's the
Heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou.
No, they're gonna have a match here coming up in the beginning of April. It's like
WrestleMania.
I mean, it's like the Ukrainian Hulk or
never
something.
mind.
Somebody the Hulk is.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he's gonna
Hogan.
fight this other guy. That's I don't know if they're gonna box or it's MMA or what.
Wasn't that Rocky Four?
I'd be
Okay,
interested in watching
that's the
That was
Iranian
Drago,
Hulk.
wasn't it?
Is the Iranian Hulk?
Yeah, versus Martin Ford, I guess.
Yes.
I'm just.
And Martin Ford is the one that, like, I guess everybody's supposed to fear. But this Iranian Hulk, did you see a picture of him, Christian?
Yeah, he's
saw that
like
guy.
Tom's friend that was on the boat with the
Yeah.
fish. He's
Oh,
got no
yeah.
neck at all.
Yeah, he's coming down here. He wants to know where his load is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like he painted himself green during the workouts too, so he looks like.
Wow.
Because his skin breaks out. and-
Have you ever heard of him, Mike? The Iranian Hawk? Oh, look, Google that. This guy is a monster.
The regime don't kill him.
Yeah. Joel. So, anyway, yeah, that's crazy. I'm gonna watch that fight.
This guy looks like a Street Fighter character.
Yeah, maybe we can throw.
Yeah, he looks like
Oh,
he
I
looks
have
like a-
seen this guy. Wasn't he with wasn't this the dude that was like with like Lindsay Lohan or something? Wasn't like
I don't know.
something crazy like that? Like
Not
that-
the Hulk guy. I think he's in Iran,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know where I saw the
or maybe it's the Ford
Who
guy.
knows? something social media, but I have seen this guy anyway.
Yeah. I'm interested in that fight because isn't Ford like one of the most feared fighters?
It happened 3 days ago.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
I missed it. Who
I
won?
didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. I know there
It
was
says
a.
Martin Ford smashes the Iranian Hulk.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
honestly, I've never heard of him.
Can we get footage?
I
on
didn't
that?
either. It just happened to pop up. I read Bleacher Report a lot, and it popped up in my sports feed, and I saw the dude. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's big.
Yeah, that's incredible.
He's big, but I mean,
But he can't handle
that's
Ray.
all he is. He probably can't move too well, and I bet he's
No.
out of breath pretty
Yeah, he
damn
gasses
quick.
out in 30 seconds into the first round.
Well, he clearly lost. So
Yeah.
Oh, and this
still
this
got paid.
weekend,
Yeah.
this weekend we got UFC 272.
Masvidal.
Yeah, Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington. These two guys.
Heard him.
Well, Kuma will be at your house this weekend.
Yeah,
They used to be friends. They used to be training partners and good amigos, and now there's bad blood.
Now they knee and elbow each other.
I think Covington will win. He's got an endless gas tank. He can go forever and never get tired. So
Even when his jaw's broken. Yep.
oh yeah,
yeah.
that was
Dang.
nuts.
So that's this weekend in MMA.
Yep.
Okay. Well, from the wide world of sports, MMA, and straight to Ray. This is what we did with Ray this week. I only wanted to bring up one guy, and then Christian, Mike, we can talk about a little of what you guys been doing or seeing in the market. But Ray had a kind of a unique week. So Ray, where was it? Was it Elwood, Illinois, where we started out?
Yeah, Elwood, Illinois. We had two stopper, one pick, two drop, going
So
in Indianapolis and then West Jeff.
Yeah. So West Jefferson. So Elwood, Illinois, it's 339 miles loaded down to Indy and then over towards Columbus, Ohio. It was a target load. Ray got to the first stop, and the target that loaded it mixed all the freight up, so they didn't separate from one target store that it was going to in Indy to the other one in West Jeff. And they sorted through some of it, right, Ray, in Indy, and then said,
Yeah,
that's all. We're not going to take any more. So that load paid $2,000. Ray went on to the second stop because it's happened before, Ray, where similar situation where the other target took it, but they didn't. They didn't on this one. So this was a Thursday into Friday. Ray sitting there's still no answer from Target. Everybody with the broker that we took this load through, they were trying, but Target wasn't answering. So what we did, he was only 100 miles from the yard, so he came up here and dropped the loaded trailer. We locked it up in the yard, and then Ray took an empty, and we went 2750 on 860 miles from Defiance, Ohio to Grand Island, Nebraska. It was 180 deadhead, but it was worth it. And Austin, we booked that on Saturday, Ray, Austin, and I together, because Ray did a 34 over the weekend because this load didn't pick up till, well, he got a 34 in because it picked up Sunday. 12,000 pounds. But we looked at Nebraska. It was good. We knew that. And then we got Lincoln, Nebraska to Princeton, West Virginia. It's four-wheelers or UTVs. We got 45 on 1150 with a 100-mile deadhead. All in with the deadhead miles.
Pretty good.
All in with the deadhead miles and his loaded miles. We did get 1250 detention or layover for Ray for the mishap with Target, but Ray puts Ray at 10,660 on all miles, 2,700 miles.
Dang, that's pretty good.
It's 384 a mile or something like that.
I think
So-
Ray will be doing the questions with Kumar for the month.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because I got to hang out with Ray on Saturday, because he was, Austin. We worked on booking the load to Nebraska together Saturday, and he got his 34 in here. So, in a week, 10,660, 2,700 miles, and got a 34 in. So that was pretty good. I was actually surprised, weren't you, Ray, when I found the load there? You guys know how it is on Saturday or Sunday loads. It's slim pickings on volume. Sometimes the rates are pretty decent, but the volume wasn't there. So we didn't have a lot to choose from. We were trying to load him Saturday, but we ended up kicking it out till Sunday. There was a few more options. But when I saw that load go into Nebraska, I was pretty surprised at I had Austin pull up Nebraska, pretty much the area he was in within 150 miles. And it wasn't bad. It was, and we ended, like I said, we ended up getting 45 out of there on 1,200 miles roughly.
Good.
What helped out too is that I think one of the biggest problems we had is we spent a lot of time looking.
What was that, Ray?
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, that's what we did. So I think what he's trying to say is we spent a lot of time looking for Saturday loads, and then finally we were exhausted. By late morning, we kicked it out to Sunday and started calling on those, and we found him something picking up Sunday morning. But all in all, yeah, it wasn't a bad week. And my whole point is, things can go wrong in trucking. Mike, Ian experienced it with a driver in here this week she was yelling at Ian because she was detained at her shipper, and it wasn't the broker's fault and it wasn't our fault. It just happened. The product wasn't ready. It was supposed to be, and things will be paid, layover detention, but boy, she was hot. Sometimes you just got to calm down, let the things work them. Everybody's on it. Let's let it work itself out. And sometimes it can work out good, like in Ray's situation. So that was the load I wanted to go over with you. Go ahead, Ray.
I was agreeing with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was agreeing with you on that.
So
Take a chill pill.
yeah. There's a couple things, guys, I wanted to mention with the war going on. And Christian, I'm anxious to hear you and Doty or any of the drivers' opinion on this. So I didn't know this, but so the semiconductors that is caused the new truck problem where we can't get trucks because they're waiting on that. So I read last night, actually, the semiconductor crunch needed to build the Class 8 tractors will be affected by the war in Ukraine due to the neon gases needed for the process of making them, and also rare metals like palladium are produced largely by Ukrainians in Ukraine. So those types of things are shutting down, and that's a big problem. I mean, we're already, we're not even close to getting through that. Where with the semiconductor crunch. Another thing I read too, this, like your manufacturers of automobiles and trucks. I don't know who wrote the article, but they said everybody's taking notice that we're so heavily, energy and oil dependent that these big manufacturers that are starting to lean towards electric vehicles are taking an even harder look at it now, because of the situation that's happening and unfolding right on within the borders of Ukraine. So And what do you think, man? I mean, what do you think the effects of what's going on? I mean, we all know we're going to see some fuel prices jump up. The price of the barrel was high.
Fuel prices that's already started. But I didn't know about the chip thing. If
I didn't either.
If that's gonna, put even a bigger hold on new trucks, what's that going to do to the market? Looking even way down the road, because new trucks are already backed up, sitting, built, just waiting on things to finish them up. So if it pushes that out even more, the used truck market, I mean, we thought it was already going crazy. I mean, is there a chance used trucks go higher if new trucks get pushed out further?
Well, supply and demand, I don't know if they go higher, but they're definitely not going to drop if you can't get these parts. The semiconductor, is that what you were mentioning earlier, Jim, when I told you that's kind of what I had written down?
Well, that's all part of it, but the country of Ukraine is in the top 10 producers or miners of several different types of metal that are used in the world economy. And not only that, the food chain, 75% of Ukraine is black dirt, and they export a lot of wheat and corn and several of these things that are used in the food chain. And it's just amazing how it's a fairly large country, having a problem like this can affect the whole world.
Yeah. I did read about that too, Jim, that there was companies like Nabisco and Kellogg's already putting out statements that, they have to source the wheat from other places, I guess. I guess that's how I understood it. And so that's going to, be a direct result in the price. So, we already had an inflation problem. It's going to get worse. That's what I think. Also, Landstar projected $100 million loss in the first quarter of 2022.
Is that it?
Yeah, well, that's what they're due to their two big agents in Ukraine.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'm wondering what kind of effect this is going to have on land. I mean, obviously,
as a company,
financial. I wonder what
$100 million in the first quarter of this year.
Because if I was driving for Landstar, well, I mean, I would have been out a long time ago, but I wouldn't be sticking around now. There's got to be some uncertainty there, right? Wouldn't you think?
I think I don't know, but I think it's largely their logistics side, right? I think because that's but the way their organization works, there's so many Landstar drivers, and they can call any agent and get loads when they have loads.
I got a question. They have they're saying this is due to the crisis with Russia that's a week and a half old.
Yeah.
In the first quarter, they have $100 million.
No, they didn't say they have it. They're projecting because of this. Yes.
So what's that? 100 million. So what's that? $30 million a week between now and the end of the quarter.
And then the end of the month, yeah. 30 million a week. Well, that's their two big, I guess, logistics side brokerage agents that are in Ukraine.
Yeah,
and that's
one of my ex-employees went to work for them over there.
Really?
Yeah.
I will say that right at the beginning of this, was it Friday, Zach? You brought up.
I tried to call him.
He couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Nobody would answer.
And it's not someone we use all the time. It was just in an area they had the load we needed, but couldn't get a hold of him. Anyway, that's. Go ahead,
I'd be
Mike.
curious about No, I just would be curious what's going to happen to Landstar. If it, I assume aside from the financial down, or I don't even know the words I'm looking for.
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say.
Downfall.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all doing the same thing, Mike. We don't have the words. We don't know no one knows what to expect. We know that the price of the barrel of oil was, what was it, 111 when I last looked today, and projected to be 116 here in a day or so.
Yeah, a week ago, 6 days ago, it was 105.
Yeah,
and I just found this about Ukraine exports, and they rank number 51 in the world in terms of total export value. They're the world leader in terms of agriculture exports. They produce 18% of the world's sunflower seeds, cottonseed oil exports, 13% of corn production, 12% of global barley exports, and 8% of wheat. And they're and it says something about, I guess their flag. Somebody posted this on something else, but it's a picture of a wheat field with a blue sky above it, and then if you look at the Ukraine flag, it's almost the same. And it's, the farm represents farmland, I guess, and why it's so valuable to Russia.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
But
I didn't know that the neon gases and the metals like palladium are used in the. I don't know what the process of making a semiconductor is, but that's a big thing, and it's largely produced by Ukraine. So, so the new trucks we ordered last year, it might be a little longer before we see those in the trucking industry.
They're also very big into the top of the world as far as nuclear energy.
They have several nuclear power plants.
They are. It's surprising how one country can have so many hands into so many different areas of the world economy.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me.
So and I hope we, God bless the people of Ukraine, and I hope that there's some kind of resolve that can come out of this, and civilians not die. But so right now it is going to affect our industry. A couple things I looked at the end of the week, the DAT load to truck ratio this past week was 6.5 in van to one truck. So 6.5 loads to one truck. In reefer was 11.5 loads to one truck, basically. And then flatbeds jumped up, which is typical. We're getting ready to get into spring. 97.34 loads to one truck. So flatbed's getting better, which good, because that's the one part of our business segment that we really needed to get a little better. We've made it through the winter, but the national average for van was $3.20 a mile according to the DAT, including fuel. Reefer was $3.53 including fuel, and flatbed was $3.23 including fuel for last week. So still quite a bit better. We're still up than we were a year ago this time, and significantly better on spot market rates from last week to the same year in 2018. I did get an update on the port since Ian's not with us this week. Kumar's handling some new stuff in trucking, but 60 vessels at anchor on the West Coast. So that's gradually getting better. They are getting them unloaded a little bit faster. There's still 60 at anchor. And then the East Coast ports, I didn't know anything about this, but the East Coast ports getting congested due to seasonal imports. Did you know anything about that, Christian? I know you. No. Yeah.
Was it Virginia?
So I guess they said it was pretty normal every time about this time of year. Yeah, the Northeast gets a little bit congested due to high volume of imports. So I'm curious about that. We'll have Ian look at it. Maybe he can talk about it next week on his port map.
I'm wondering if I haven't seen anything or been keeping up. I've been so busy, but is all that still going on in Canada with the border and like what's going on there? I haven't. With everything with Ukraine, I haven't heard anything about.
I checked Canada an official anymore. News source called TikTok last night, and I didn't see any new videos posted. I'm serious. I looked up the Freedom Convoy, and I didn't see the media around it. So I'm not sure if we just, it went through its news cycle, and now it's just being, scrubbed out or what. But
yeah, I was just curious because, with less trucks up that way, I'm sure that has had an effect on the rates up in the Northeast somewhat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been getting good rates out of the Northeast.
Yeah, we've all been seeing it. Yeah. So let's talk about that, Mike. Where you've been? I know you said you got a few guys you wanted to go over with what you've been doing with them and where you're running them, what the lane rates are.
I've just been kind of that triangle. from say the Midwest down to the south, southeast, and then up to the northeast, and bounce over to the Midwest, and and do it again.
That's funny, Christian. You probably seen this too. That with the area he's highlighting, Midwest, Northeast, down south, Southeast. On all the hot market maps, it's there. That's the area that's lit up.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, down PA to Georgia, $2,900 on 800 miles. There's Dala's been running at, he did South Carolina to Connecticut, 740 miles, 3650 there. It's just been, I'm just trying to look here real quick, but yeah, Georgia to PA, 900 miles. That was 3,300. That was not too good. Should have got more there, but I think we didn't have much choice.
That's because Georgia's like the only place right there that's not really popping right now. Even Florida's starting to turn as far as capacity goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but coming back though, we got Buffalo to Hattiesburg, 1,100 miles, 3,400.
Yeah. Coming back, to get it out. Yep.
So
up off 90.
Yeah, it's been, that triangle's been doing well. Real well.
If you get 2 out of the 3 legs doing really well, and the one still well above par, you're doing great.
You're doing good.
Yeah. So,
what about Lee? Lee, I know because I booked Lee out of Texas for you Monday when you were off. So Lee was in Texas.
Yeah, he had to go get a tooth fixed. But
where you been running, Lee?
Wherever Mike says run. Wherever the money is.
He does too, man.
That's a great answer.
He don't care.
I don't care. Wherever the money is, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, he's pretty much doing. Let's see. He did. South Carolina to Panama City, Florida. 2,400 on 600 miles, and then right out of Florida to Ohio, got him. Wow, over $3 there. 3,000 on 980. So
I can just tell y'all, I'm his own personal Forrest Gump. I run north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, he does. Too. Pretty much goes anywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, north and south. The south is, I mean, the weather's starting to get a little bit better, but for all winter, the south has been tough.
Mm-hmm.
More so than the rest of the country. I don't,
Yeah.
Tough is a relative term, I guess, but with fuel rates going up and things like that, the South's been tougher than the rest of the country, I guess.
So fuel,
for the most part.
What was fuel this week? 55?
55.
Yeah. So, keep that in mind when we're talking about freight and booking loads and stuff. And Jim, what'd you say today? You said you went to sleep. Fuel was what, 390 something?
398.
And he woke up.
Willis, Texas, at the Loves.
Yeah.
I went to bed. It was 398. I got up. It was 414.
Yeah. He didn't even move.
I don't know why we're laughing about this, but it's funny.
I mean, it's funny.
Yeah. We just got to get it back on the rates. But
I think that's the problem we're going to run into, though, Mike. I think that, and FreightWave's always had the tender acceptance and rejection scale on how long it takes, how many days till you get stuff moved successfully. And they have ceilings for that. And I haven't looked at it recently, but there are ceilings that they just say, hey, we're not going to move it, or a lot of products. So I'm not sure. And I know my day went to where, but I was pulling up since March of last year, the trends of the cent per mile for the van, the cent per mile for the reefer, the cent per mile for flatbed versus the fuel prices and the fuel surcharge difference to see whether we're over or under the benchmark for capturing fuel. I didn't bring it together because I don't have all the pretty graphs together, but the indicators that I showed earlier was saying that even though the market's been so much in our favor, we still haven't really capitalized on fuel. We did early the first couple months of last year, but then it ran away. But, and I think that's an indicator when we cannot cost justify putting more money out of pocket. I mean, when would you ever give money without putting a markup on it? So if fuel's going up, we shouldn't just cover fuel. We should cover the cost of that money. because when you're doing it, even if you're factoring the money or you're in a agent program,
you're still putting it out before
and a portion of that's being removed before you ever see it again, let alone the cost of money having it out there. So yeah, it was eye-opening to watch, and hopefully I'll bring it in pretty good format next week. But I just look and say, man, at some point, there's going to be a ceiling here, and when that happens, it changes the supply and demand aspect drastically.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I was wondering the same thing, because if you go back, I think what I see, what year was it? Like 2011, fuel was high, and 340, I think it was, somewhere around there. But back in 2011, no one was getting over $3 a mile in a van, so I was kind of like, but the cost of things I'm sure was much lower, but fuel wasn't.
Yeah, I was old enough to remember those days, and they were not some fun times to live through.
Yeah.
You had to heavily rely on customer freight where you could just adjust the fuel because the market didn't carry it.
Right.
Yeah, that was I think, so Mike's talking about around the time fuel really jumped up real quick, real big. Yeah.
I believe that was in late 11 when fuel went up. I think it was late 11 when fuel went up and prices did not follow. And, you just start looking at your fuel bill and your receivables, you're thinking something's off here.
And I think that's, it's going to be somewhat comparable here. It's obviously not as bad because rates are good, but with the fuel going up, you're not going to see the rates follow as much, to cover that, I don't think.
I think the scary part is if it turns, because if it turned back then, an FLD 120 was, $5,000, right? The same truck that's, 25,000 now if you go and buy one used, because you can't find anything else. And it's got you might have 400,000 on a rebuild, but it's still got 1.4, 1.5 million miles on it. The difference now is that guy's driving a $60,000 truck with the same age on it, right?
Yeah.
And so that payment doesn't go away. So when that fuel goes up and that rate goes down, it's not like the old days where you just take less home because your truck's paid off or you don't have as much out there. Insurance have gone up almost every year, not in staggering amounts. A couple of years they have since 2011, but they've gone up. So all the costs have risen, and we've had the price of freight rise with it. The bad news is when that exchange happens and we see the price end up dropping on the rates, our expenses are still there. And so there's a thinner margin to eat off. And we're all eating everyone's been eating well here recently. But it's not a sustainable market, and that's okay. But it's how much backlash do we have?
Right. And there's another part of this that, like you said, Christian, it wasn't the same as back in late 11, if that's the right era that we're talking about, because there wasn't this semiconductor crunch, so we could get new trucks, people could get used trucks, and they were way different. It was priced way different. Right. Now you're paying new truck prices for a decent used truck that you can put on the road and make it serviceable, and so you've got tons and tons of people. I mean, that's why there's no new used trucks, because everybody's buying them and paying that
part shortages.
And that's where it really started. That's where the inventory game changed. We have Excel Truck Group, Virginia Truck Center, and all down the street from us. And you used to be able to go there. We could just pick a whole truck and rebuild the whole thing out of their inventory. Well, shortly after that period of time, and I forgot who I was talking over there, it came over, and they gave us some camo hats, which is good for dove hunting. And so we got those and kind of asked, what are the changes you guys are going through? And they said, well, obviously everyone's reevaluating their business plans. And at that point, they said, we're looking at how much inventory we're holding on to. When guys are buying it, turn it, that's fine. But when guys stop buying it, we're just sitting on all that money.
Right.
And so I think that's one reason why we have the problem we do today is we didn't have a huge pile of inventory. And, the model year and era of trucks have grown over the last 10 years as well.
And then you got all these big companies that, have the same issue. They're the ones with the big bucks and are buying the most trucks are still getting new trucks. They're just not getting how many that they wanted or are used to. So that's what's driven the used market, because they're going late model used or what they can get, and that's driving that price. But, back to rates, I'm blown away, and I know we've talked a lot about truck prices. I am still every day blown away by the price of a used truck with 400,000 miles. I'm blown away, and they're selling them like out. They're like, a lot of people, they're gone. Mm-hmm. That has an effect when all these big companies are paying that kind of money for them. When they're bidding freight, and they got to take into consideration the fuel surcharge or the fuel, but also the price of equipment. So I think that's what's different between, and tell me if I'm wrong, but that wasn't the case back then. In 11 or 10 or 12, whenever it was, the price of trucks weren't, overinflated.
No, and the price on trucks that really began to grow were just a couple years after that, 12, 13, where you started seeing incremental, increases in trucks. But you were offering super singles or a dead axle lifting or something to kind of sell the new truck, because the other trucks were basically, okay, well, it was 150 last year, it's 152. It didn't go from 160 to 195 to 240.
Right.
If there's no way to build that into any kind of business plan.
Yeah.
I don't care how hot the state you run into. That's hard math to do.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of ironic. We had Henry Albert on, 4 weeks ago, and talking about fuel mileage. And some people don't care, but this is the time that you should be caring, because this is probably the beginning of going up, in increments a little bit more.
Well, I can tell you where he's at fuel mileage today, because I just talked to him an hour ago. He and I were talking. He's about a future episode and all, and he was carrying 17,000 pounds at 71 miles an hour, getting 10.3 miles to gallon.
Yeah.
So
to us, that's great, and to him, that's I can do better.
Yeah, exactly. He said, "Well, I am going over 70." So
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
he's got that dialed in, man. He's got that dialed in. Even to be only 17,000 pounds and still do 10 miles to the gallon.
Too. I mean, at 71 miles an hour.
Right. He could be getting probably get 11.2, 11.3 if you backed it down to Rainieto. I mean, 55.
Yeah. Because I think his range on that truck, I know he only had like 15 or so thousand miles on it. It's brand new Freightliner, but I think the range that Henry said he was getting, depending on this and that, was 10 to 13, right?
Yeah. He said very low, so it was 9, and then it was like 13 or 13.6 high. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that engine's still getting broken in, so fuel mileage is probably just going to get a little bit better too.
Right. Yeah.
And he's done all those little things that he's done, eighth of a gallon here, the 10th of a gallon here, the stuff to the trailer and extending, the cab to closer to the or putting those fairings on to close that gap in between the trailer and truck, and all the way down to the license plate holder on the trailer.
I mean, that made a lot of sense. I never thought of that.
He's got it. He's everything.
But he's 100% right. If you he even talked about your CB antenna. He has one built in, I guess, or however it is.
I was surprised to see he had mirrors on the truck instead of cameras when I saw his truck.
Right. But like he said, just stick your arm out the window when you're going down the road at 65 miles an hour. Feel the resistance. Feel what it's doing. So when you have that was one of the greatest takeaways from that episode with Henry is, when you have 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of those things happening all around your truck, every little bit, it might only be 2/10 of each one, but when you add them all up, there's your fuel mileage.
Yeah.
So, and now's the time. Now's the time more than ever. And we always say that because we always want to get good fuel mileage. The better you do on fuel mileage, the more money as an owner operator you keep in your pocket. That's just the bottom line, man. So.
Well, and I think it's interesting too. I was looking at DAT. The other thing I didn't get around to bringing up was DAT has this new beta version on RateView. Have you guys looked at that Market IQ?
I don't think I looked at that one.
I'll screen share real quick if you don't mind. Just pull it up. You guys see the screen?
Yep.
There it is.
Okay. So you had the old market conditions, right? Which is you chose what area you were going to be in and the class of equipment and time frame. So they have the new one, which this would be pretty neat to kind of play with Ray one week with. As your dispatch and Russ, because you can kind of set where you want to look at your markets, where you go. So if he was going to land in New Jersey or Elizabeth, it looks, it's a very tight market. Now, we can see that by color, but then it gives the breakdown, right? The actual loads and truck breakdown. So you know what you're facing when you're going in there. But it does it. What I like is they like it on the inbound or the outbound. So this way you can flip whether you're going in there. What are you looking at? What would you be looking at coming out? And what would you be looking at going into it on both ends?
Yeah, I have seen that. Ian was showing me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight tool. I think the impressive part, not to keep flipping back and forth, but the impressive part of all of that we're seeing with rates is that they're carrying together. Typically when you see market, that's doing horrible, you see a huge separation, right? Where if the market drops, your contract rates are staying way up and the spot market's in the toilet, right? And then there's this rocket shot recovery, but then they kind of hover right around where the shipper rates are, the direct carrier to shipper rates. But what we're seeing here, and especially dry van, is a steady trend, right? We're seeing that they're sticking together, and they have for some time, and that was even during COVID. Yeah. And because capacity is tight, it's not like they can go to one market or the other. They're going to stick together. Yeah. The hope is that if the market ever does start to come apart, the spot's usually the first place to see it because dedicated contracts stay in place, especially those that renewed annually or for 6-month terms. The goal is that the shipper to carry doesn't drop with it, because if it does, that'll be in trouble, because that's the hardest rate to get back up there.
Yeah, that's a great tool.
Yeah.
I used to use Truck Stop a lot, and they've I don't know if you use it, Christian. Do you use Truck Stop much?
I used to all the time. No, I don't anymore.
They've changed it a lot, and I was really frustrated. And look, I'm not here to endorse one or the other. We have both. We pay for both. But when I would, like Doty and I or Tom and I were planning over the phone, and sometimes, and Mike's on DAT and I'm on Truck Stop, and I guess it's just what you're used to, what you like.
Preference.
Yeah, but they changed some things, man, and it's been so frustrating for me. So I really started leaning on DAT.
Are you turning into a dinosaur where somebody changes something? It's aggravating.
I know.
That's what it sounds like.
I know. And what's funny is Tom actually he's same as me. He was so used to Truck Stop and wouldn't. I had to help him walking through DAT on the phone a few months ago, but then I wasn't even using it. I just here and there I knew how to use it, but I've been actually digging into it a little bit, and I do interact with some of their, like the IQ stuff, even though I leaned on Truck Stop for when I was searching for a load, but I've been digging into DAT these last week or so, and it's been kind of eye opener. So so that's a wrap in some rates. I think we're still seeing some pretty good rates out there. Just like we said, keep in mind fuel, because it is going to go up. And if you're in Jim Mackey's case, maybe you want to fuel before you go to sleep, because you don't know what it's going to do in the morning.
Yeah, but you got to also remember, fuel's going up. You got these thieves out there.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Like me, I've got screen that goes down inside my tank, so I don't really worry about that. They can only get the top 10 or 15 gallons.
Yeah.
But you have to think about that too, where you're at, the cost of it. There's a potential of somebody stealing your fuel.
Right.
But then it is a total loss.
Yeah, I always had the screens, and I didn't always have the locking caps, but man, if you can get those aftermarket locking caps, I mean, that's you'd hear someone trying to break the lock, the key lock. That's a great. I love those. I did have them on one of my trucks.
Have you seen that happen?
What, fuel getting stolen? We've had it gotten stolen a couple times this year on our trucks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ballsy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happened. It happens. But
Well,
that screen in there does help. I mean, you can only get a hose down so far.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of fuel efficiency, one thing that does affect that too is your DEF filters and the post treatment.
Yeah.
Post engine treatment. So I just want to bring up. Obviously, we have news. It's hopefully next week to end up having DPF alternatives on, and they can talk about how that does affect your fuel mileage.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's going to be great. Let's get on to trucking questions with Kumar.
All right.
There it is. Go ahead and get that one out.
Gotta mark that
He's not
down.
even hiding it at this point.
Yeah. So Jim wrote the questions.
Make a song about it.
Jim Mackey wrote the questions. So Lee, Kevin, Ray, you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jim can't answer. So it's you three. And Christian has to pay the pot this week. So
Timeliness is next to God.
that's right. So here we go. Joel, you got it ready?
All right. Can you hear me?
So basically, Kumar is, if he gets it right, then, or the driver gets it right, Kumar gets it right, Kumar gets the point. But if he gets it wrong and the drivers get it right, they get a point. So, Christian, actually, you have Kumar. So you don't have to pay unless he loses. I guess I should have said that. I was kind of throwing you in there like you just have to pay either way.
You just wanted to add a
I don't even care.
I just kind of took it too. That's the sad part. Here I am reading an email.
Actually, when we were sound checking, Christian, right before you got on here, I told the whole crew, I said that the board of officers have voted. We're going to let Christian know that he has to pay. We have to figure out a way to make sure he pays.
You had 6, and we have 3 other additional members, so you didn't have 75% for quorum, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
It's coming out of my pocket whether I like it or not.
And I said Russ is going to get that 25-51 back no matter what.
So, but no, you have Kumar, so if he wins, I'll pay.
Okay.
And if the drivers win, Christian will pay. So let's go first, Kevin.
All right.
Against Kumar. Kumar, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Joel, let's have it.
Kumar,
Yes, sir.
when parking on the side of the road, how far must you park away from the travel portion unless an emergency? Is it A, 6 feet, B, 8 feet, C, 10 feet, or D, 12 feet?
Travel portion?
Yeah, when
So you pull over on the
side of the road, how far must you be away from the main
travel
road?
lane? Yeah,
Gotcha.
where you just pulled off from. So now we're not talking about a breakdown. We're saying you just pulled over and maybe you had to
Legally.
do something, but
Is it
legally.
6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, or 12 feet?
8 feet.
Kevin, he says 8 feet. So you're parking on the side of the road. How far from the travel lane, unless it's an emergency?
I'm going to go 10 feet.
Kevin says 10. What's the answer, Joel?
Ding, ding. The answer is C, 10 feet.
That's right.
Man.
10
1-0.
feet. Get your tape measure out.
I got it.
All right. Question number 2. Who do we got, Russ? Kumar versus
Let's have Lee. You ready, Lee?
Oh, yeah.
He's always ready.
Lee. When you have green antifreeze in your motor, what do you need to add to it?
So this is for Kumar first, Lee, so don't answer yet.
Is it A, more water? Is it B, silicone? Is it C, nitrates? Or is it D, nothing? Green antifreeze.
Nothing.
What do you need to add to it?
He says
Kumar
nothing.
says nothing.
So if you have green antifreeze in your motor, what do you need to add to it, Lee? More water, silicone, nitrates, or nothing?
I'm probably going to get this wrong, too, but no, I'm going to say nothing as well.
Yeah, we figured you would get it wrong. You've never got a question right when you're talking to Chuck.
He don't care. He's just like, Mike, find me the money.
That's right.
So they're both wrong, right, Joel?
They're both wrong. And
Jim Mackey, what is it?
Nitrates.
Yeah.
they have that in Love's.
That was the first thing I was going to say until I heard nothing, and I was like, you know what? Nothing sounds good.
All right. Who do we got? Question three.
You got nothing right so far, Kumar, so we got that going for us.
Still 1-0.
I got to keep my streak going, too.
You did. All right, so Ray, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Ray Nieto.
Kumar versus Ray.
Question 3. In a 13-speed transmission, how many forward gears do you actually have? Is it A, 16, B, 15, C, 14, or D, 13? 13-speed transmission. How many forward gears do you actually have?
Can you read the answers again?
A, 16, B, 15, C, 14, D, 13.
14.
Okay, he says 14. Ray, what do you say? How many 13 speed? How many forward gears do you actually have? 16, 15, 14, or 13?
How many forward gears? Shoot. Okay, so it's 13.
Yeah, it is.
I've had this conversation with Jim before, and I answered the same way as Ray. So I'm going to need an explanation on this, but what was the right answer?
It's 15.
Okay.
But so do I.
I was going to say.
So, Jim, yeah, you got us all on this one,
So,
Mackie.
so a 13 speed, actually is a 12-speed with a low. But a lot of people don't know that you can actually split that low into direct and overdrive. So you would actually have 15 gears. Because I have, at times, instead of going from the fourth gear,
That's true.
or fifth gear down into the low range fourth gear, I've actually come over into reverse and direct instead of going to the low range on the transmission. And you can actually put that into overdrive also. So you would have 15 forward gears.
Can we get Henry Albert on the phone? We got a fact check here. I'm just kidding with you, Jim.
I mean,
That's
he
only
figured it
half
out a
of
lot
it.
better than I did.
Yeah.
And not only that, you do have 3 reverse gears.
No
It's
kidding.
awful hard to get it into overdrive, but
See,
you put it in reverse, you use low range, and if you take and put it into neutral and allow your motor to slow down a lot more, you can go into direct drive on your reverse. We used to do that a lot with the dump truck when we had to back down the road a mile or so to get to the where they put the gravel on the shoulders instead of having to turn around on just the paved part.
You
You
got
can
that?
go pretty fast. but
You got that,
you-
Kumar?
I think I do.
Yeah. You gonna try that in your Subaru on your way out of here tonight?
Yeah, I think I will.
Well, we're not letting Jim do questions anymore. All right. All right.
Next
I
week's
don't know, the
questions
way he
brought.
explained it, I still don't understand.
Next week's
I mean, I
questions
just
brought to you by Henry Albert. Who's got Kumar?
There will be a test.
What were you gonna say, Kevin?
I said, the way he explained it, I still don't understand. I just figured it because I've drove a 13 speed. You've got 10 forward gears, plus you can split 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It still gives you
That's
5
12.
more. Well, technically it's 12, but you're splitting
But you've got
6, 7, 8, 9,
you've got
10.
you've got a super low that is behind the reverse.
Yeah.
Okay,
So there's
and that
13.
gear you can actually split it 3 times. The direct and overdrive also.
He's a hands-on kind of guy, Jim. So next time you and Kevin,
Next time you're in a
together,
transmission,
yeah, you
know.
just take a ride with him, Jim, and show him.
The 13 speed, you can actually somewhat drive it like a 15, but it's
Yeah.
not set up that way.
Yeah. All
Yeah, I
right.
just came back. My signal dropped.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Really?
All right. Well,
Hey, just to
Can
let
you
you know,
explain that all
too.
for him again?
FYI.
So-
Hey, just to let you know, I may have to violate and put good notes today.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
I
next-
know he's on Ray's on a one-lane road.
That's the next
very
question.
tight. And
There's no stops, no truck stops, nowhere. I just checked the Walmart. There's no parking, and 44 minutes on the clock, but 55 miles to go. I don't think I'm gonna make it.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Safety.
Good luck, Ray. We hope you find a safe place to park.
How helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
Meanwhile,
You never know. You never know. Make it lucky.
back in Barberton.
Our driver of the year was question 4. Who do we got?
So question 4, we're back to Kevin Lewis.
Kevin
All right.
Lewis. When you have a vibration from a tire being out of balance, what speed is it most noticeable? Is it 35 to 40 miles per hour, 45 to 50, 50 to 55, or 65 to 70?
So Kumar,
What speed's most noticeable?
when your tire's out of balance.
Is that 55 to 70? Is that what you said?
That was 65 to 70, D, 50 to 55, C, 45 to 50, B, 35 to 40.
And Kumar's still down. It's still 1-0 drivers.
Pressure's on. 50 to 55.
Kumar says 50 to 55. Kevin, he'll feel the shaking if he has an out of balance tire. What do you think, Kevin? 35 to 40, 45 to 50, 50 to
I mean-
55, or 65 to 70?
I can feel it in hey,
In
Lois.
reverse.
Because you're so much more of a man than I am, I guess.
What are you most likely to feel it at? Is what the question was.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
when
can feel
does
it in
everything
the-
start shaking
most-
really bad?
Well, really bad.
Yeah.
If it's really out of balance, then
It's a slower
65 to
faster.
70.
65 to 70.
65 to 70.
That is the answer, and I would agree with you, Kevin,
Darn.
because the faster you're going, the more more noticeable it's going to be.
Well, I mean, you can feel it at low speeds too if it's out of balance too. Though.
yeah, but the question was, when is it the most noticeable?
Yeah, Kumar, you see how I helped us out there?
He did.
I was over here like, he's big 65 to 70.
Yeah.
I'm second guessing myself. That
Right.
was my first answer, and then I was like, nah.
Go with your gut, man. Just go with your gut.
His gut hasn't helped him
or
in
my
a
wallet,
month.
man. Or my wallet.
It hasn't helped him in a month.
That's fun.
Mine hasn't helped me in years.
Double or nothing, huh? Christian, you want to go double or nothing on this one?
Got two more
On this question here, Kumar, you feeling good?
He's already
Feeling
lost.
good.
Yeah, because I've already lost, so like nothing happens here
Just
except
so-
breaking
yeah.
even.
Yep.
This day's getting better. All right, question 5. Who do we got, Russ?
We've got Ray, I think. Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, Lee.
Lee. I'm sorry, Lee.
Lee.
Yep.
This is your chance at finally getting one right, Lee.
No
on
pressure,
Talkin
okay?
Truckin.
No pressure.
I think you got this one.
All
Lee.
right, Kumar.
Kumar, when setting your tandems on your trailer to meet the bridge law, where do you measure from? Is it A, from the front of the trailer to the center of the front of the axle?
From the front of the bridge.
Is it from the front of the trailer to the center of the rear axle? Is it C, the kingpin to the center of the front axle? Or D, the kingpin to the center of the rear axle? I hope you heard that. Did you record that?
Yes. I love his size. When you know he's defeated.
He's like, he wants to ask me to repeat the question.
So it's
again.
simple, Kumar.
It's always repeat the question.
Kumar, when you're setting your tandems on your trailer
Hold on,
to
wait.
meet the bridge law,
Sorry.
where do you?
Sound went out.
Oh, his sound went out. So
All right, we're back.
when setting your tandems on your trailer to meet the bridge law, where do you measure from?
Remember
From
the
the front
bridge
of the
law?
trailer to the center of the front of the axle, to the center of the front axle, from the front of the trailer to the center of the rear axle, the kingpin to the center of the front axle, or the kingpin to the center of the rear axle.
Or A, B, C, or D.
I'll go C because I can't repeat any of that because it's too hard.
Do you remember what C was? You have to know what you're saying.
No,
The
20.
kingpin to the front of the rear axle. No, the back of the rear axle.
Yeah.
The front of the rear axle.
So here was your answer. C was the kingpin to the center of the front axle, or do you want D, the kingpin to the center of the rear axle?
Oh, to the rear. Let's do
Definitely
that.
to the rear axle.
Yep.
Okay. Lee,
Hey,
you want it from the center, from the front of the trailer to the center of the front of the axle, from
Yeah,
the front of the
well,
trailer to the center of the rear axle, the
let's keep
kingpin.
let's
to the
keep
center.
the streak going. Let's say hey.
He says, hey.
Let's keep the streak going.
Well, you did. It's C. The kingpin to the center of the front axle.
Wait, is that the one I picked?
It was the one you
Yeah,
changed
you
your
won.
answer from.
Kumar
Again,
remembers
if we
the
could
bridge
say
law.
go with your gut.
Oh man.
I get him every time when I start to question his answer.
Man.
All right, last one.
You'd think he'd have caught on to me by now.
I
but-
think so, but it's like now it's just not even like in my head. I just like change it without even realizing I'm doing
Well,
it.
it's still 1-0 driver, so we're still winning. You got one more chance to tie this up.
All right, coming back like Jordan. Here we go.
Yeah, surprise me, would you, Kumar?
All right, so this time it's Ray.
Rate.
Yeah, and
Why don't we can just stop here, guys? I'll just make the donation. I think we're good from here on out.
Disappointed daddy.
All right, not a long one.
Go ahead and do
last one. When you have blue smoke coming from your exhaust, what is the mechanical problem? Is it A, your injector is going out? Is it B, you have bad fuel? Is it C, you have problems with your turbo? Or D, that's normal?
Or E, your vape pen needs more juice.
Needs recharged.
It needs charge. Blue smoke coming from your exhaust.
All right.
What's the
I'm
mechanical
gonna have to
problem?
hear the question again.
Ray, when you have blue smoke coming from your exhaust, what is the mechanical problem? Your injector's going out, you have bad fuel, problems with your turbo, or that's normal? Kumar?
Problems with the turbo.
Kumar says problems with the turbo. What do you say, Ray?
Shoot, I wasn't happy with either one of those answers, but
Jim Mackey was happy with one of them. He wrote it.
What if you have black smoke coming from your exhaust?
I was gonna say injectors.
yeah, I'm gonna go with injectors just because I don't think it'd be a turbo.
Well, Kumar, you got this one right, according to
Yes.
Jim Mackey.
There you go.
Problems with the turbo.
Too
So,
late, Christian.
Jim, can we get another explanation?
Too late.
If you need another question for him to
blue
time.
smoke is usually oil, and the place the oil comes from is from the turbo. The seal's going bad. But if it's like they said, the injectors, that would
And white
just
smoke.
throw out a black smoke
And white
Yeah.
smoke too, right?
because you're overfueling it, and it would be
Black
black.
smoke, you're on fire.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, I knew that blue smoke had to do with oil, and none of those answers sounded right, so I just kind of figured turbo.
I do better at written tests, Joe.
Not in trucking, though. Not trucking written questions. And these are written right here, Lee.
They're just not in front of him.
yeah.
He's going through an intersection, and we're trying to answer that.
So what was the final score, Russ? Just for those that
Actually,
are
it's tied. It's tied.
3-3.
So, Christian, we'll split it this week. How about you throw in 20 and I throw in 20? Makes it fair.
I don't think we give out participation trophies for anything.
So write it down.
Hey Joel, I sent you 2 links real quick in an email. Why don't you see if you can pull those up and make another question on the fly by the end of the show?
I got one right
You
now.
got time because we're gonna
Do one right now. Come on.
We got about 15 minutes here. So I was kind of interested in this history of trucking. We've been doing it every couple of weeks. This is kind of a cool. There's a lot of movies made during this time, but this is kind of a cool history era in trucking, 1957 to 1980. So you got a little time here, Joel, to put together a question.
I've got 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he does. Yeah. We'll get to it as soon as we get through this.
Can you guys see that?
Can you see it? Screen share? It's
I
not
can't
on the
even see
screen.
it.
It didn't work. So you
Okay.
can. There you go. Now it's
Is it up?
Yeah. You could enlarge it, maybe.
I can't even see
Okay.
it now.
He's struggling with it. In 1957, Jimmy Hoffa elected as Teamsters president. When Jimmy Hoffa was elected president, he destroyed his rivals, got in bed with the mafia, took on Bobby Kennedy, served time in prison, became both a revered blue-collar hero and a despised labor racketeer criminal all at once. His July 30th, 1975 disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries in American folklore. Kevin, that's why I was asking you. You had any idea where Hoffa was earlier?
Oh,
Anyone have any guesses?
Detroit River.
Detroit in some asphalt parking lot. I don't know.
Sammy Gravano knows.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
in.
Joel-
You're talking about Hoffa, where he's at?
Yeah. Where's he at, Mike?
Sorry,
Florida.
I've been. Yeah.
The Everglades.
He's in one of those.
Fishing boats.
He's inside a building in one of the buildings they were building at the time at New York. Those mobsters had a lock on the concrete at that time, like
They
all
did.
the concrete that built New York. So he's.
I'm going to say the mobsters, not those, because those is insinuating and they're still around.
Yeah,
So I just like to show some respect.
yeah, right.
For the Gambino crime
Yeah, he's
family.
in one of those walls. And if I
Yeah.
got it right, I better watch my back now, right?
Well, I think they talked about it being underneath the home plate at Yankee Stadium because that was being built around the time, correct? Or
Yeah.
reconstructed.
So, yeah, something like that. But I think I think they actually checked that, didn't
Sure
they?
they did. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
would check too, said no one.
They
Yeah.
moved him to the Jets Stadium.
Well, needless to say, nobody really knows, but that is the same guess that I have, Mike, and I think it's because I've watched a lot of mob movies and documentaries, and I was thinking it was in the Midwest somewhere like Chicago, but could be New York or wherever.
Well, I was watching something that was talking about what was I watching it, and there was it was something that was about New York, and they were saying like at the time they had a if you were a concrete guy or concrete company point, you had to go through them. The bid was through them. They would bid it up. There was no outside. They ran it all. you
Yeah.
know. So all the bidding went through them.
Oh, they did, for sure. Yeah, they had it locked up into, 3 families, right? Joel?
The Hoffas?
Well, no, just the mob and the controlling of the construction.
They got 5
transportation.
families.
Yeah, 5 families.
5 families.
The 5 families. Yeah.
Not including the Boston and the Philly guys.
Joel watches every documentary,
No.
even YouTube videos. He sends me YouTube
I watch those quite a
Not
bit.
in a while. Not in a long time.
They're good though. I watch every one you send me, Joel. They're pretty good. So what happened, Kumar, in 1959?
All right. Volvo invented the seatbelt in 1959. Volvo engineer Nils Bohlin invented the 3-point seatbelt, which is one of the most important and consequential safety innovations in the history of the world.
Is that Jimmy Hoffa?
No, that's Jim Mackey before he had long hair and a beard.
No, I meant under the seat.
He was the first crash test dummy, and yeah, that was him right there. Okay, so then because of the importance of this new innovation, Volvo ended up opening the patent so that all automakers could use it.
Is that Putin?
Looks like him.
And so because of the seatbelt, it has saved 1 million lives, and 1 in 3 annual truck fatalities can be prevented with this simple device.
3 times that if you get off your phone.
Yeah,
And the bow tie helps.
it does. Yeah. And also, your CSA score will stay low if you have
If you wear a bow
you've
tie.
not an accident, but you do wear your seatbelt, and yeah, because that's a big one. 1950s to 1960s, Teamsters drive the civil rights movement. From the very beginning, the Teamsters were among the most inclusive labor organizations in America. Even women played prominent roles before they even had an equal say in their own household. When the modern civil rights movement began in the mid-50s, the Teamsters provided money, organizers, vehicles, and their political clout to the movement. Many famous freedom riders took place on Teamster buses driven by Teamsters union members.
Right. 1964, Master Freight Agreement was signed in Chicago. Though deemed impossible, Jimmy Hoffa willed this agreement into a reality. This agreement extended basic benefits and protections that had long been enjoyed by other blue-collar workers. And this caused nearly 500,000 truckers to march their way into the middle class.
1974, the 55-mile-an-hour speed light becomes the law. And that was a federal law. Even though, right? I think that's right.
So,
I'm sure I'll find out here when I read this. Even though max speed laws date back to animal-drawn wagons, in 1950s New York, speed limits were often inconsistent, arbitrary, and sometimes non-existent from state to state and county to county. 1974, President Richard Nixon signed a bill that mandated a national 55-mile-per-hour speed limit across all 50 states. It was designed as a fuel-saving measure in the wake of an oil embargo, but it also helped auto fatalities drop from 4.28 per million miles traveled in 1972 to 2.73 in 1983. In 1995, Congress repealed the law and handed the speed limits back to the states. 1975, Kumar.
In 1975, the first official, I know we talked about truck stops popping up, I think in the 40s or the 50s, but now this is the first official truck stop that was built. It was built in 1975 at the intersection of Horizon Boulevard and Interstate 10.
What year did Jimmy Hoffa go missing?
He's still on.
It's called Metro Truck Stop.
Metro trucks. I've never heard of that. Has anyone? Mackie? Down on the I-10?
No, I don't know. I would guess it was probably in the Houston area.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's Petro. I think I spelled it
It's
wrong.
a Petro.
My Lord. Whoops.
The first Metro.
Wow.
It was a TA.
Must autocorrect it.
It's a AT.
Well, Kumar has only been in trucking for about 4 months now. So
No, I remember it was Petro now.
yeah,
for sure.
I was like,
And I can read it right on the bottom of the image.
It was the
I was about to say Metro truck would be a bus.
It was the Milet truck stop.
And it was around the same time that Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, July 30th, 1975.
75, that's right. And that's when Metro changed the P to Petro.
And the 1970s trucking gets more national attention in pop culture through film and music. the 70s trucking movies became a major thing. Smokey and the Bandit and Breaker Breaker were released in 1977. Convoy was released in 1978. The Eddie Rabbit song that Joel sang on a segment of Talking Trucking, Driving My Life Away, in 1980. Alabama released a song called Roll On 18-Wheeler that we've asked Lee to sing since he's from Alabama.
I was thinking that one.
Roll On 18-Wheeler, Lee.
Roll
you got
on.
something for us?
Roll on.
Might have lost him.
Roll on along.
He knew we were going to ask him to sing.
That's it. That is Lee. Roll on highway.
So, and then 1980, last but not least, what happened in 1980?
The Motor Carrier Act deregulates the trucking industry. The objective of the act was to reduce unnecessary regulations by the federal government. This forced companies to consider other options and innovate to beat the competition. I spelled that wrong. Okay. Companies were forced to keep a lower profit margin in order to compete. Before deregulation, many truckers belonged to unions and were paid 50% more than most comparable occupations. After deregulation, though, about 28% of truckers belonged to a union and were often paid lower salaries.
Look at that guy there. He's got a Mickey Mouse shirt with boots. Everybody's got collars and thongs and look professional, and he's like, yeah,
The
I was at
cab
Disney
over.
World.
I
That's
know.
what's up.
Here's Mount St. Helens erupted in the background.
All right.
So, yeah, there you go, from the mid-50s to 1980.
That's great.
Yeah, the Hoffa thing I'll probably go home and start watching documentaries on the mob on YouTube now. You got me.
We'll open the cold case back up.
Yeah.
I got it.
So, Joel, did you come up with a question for Kumar that we can break this tie?
Yeah, you ready?
Jim Mackey, are you there?
Yeah.
Since you didn't get to go against him and this isn't your question, let's go.
All right, you ready? All right.
Kumar.
How many Jacksons are in the Jackson 5? No.
Oh, I knew that one, too.
I knew that was coming.
All right, question number 7, right? All right, the tiebreaker. Kumar, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Which of these pieces of emergency equipment are not required to be in your vehicle? Is it A, a fire extinguisher? Is it B, a spare electrical fuse? Is it C, a warning device for parked vehicles? Or is it D, your DOT beacon?
I'm going to go B. I can't remember.
All right, so read the question again, Joel.
Which of these pieces of emergency equipment are not required to be on your truck?
Okay.
Is it a fire extinguisher? Is it your spare electrical fuses? Is it your warning devices for parked vehicles? Or is it your DOT beacon?
Oh, man. Can't second guess myself.
What'd you say?
B.
B, the spare electrical fuses. Jim, what one?
D, the beacon.
D,
The DOT
the
beacon.
DOT beacon.
In case you're getting lost at, the strobe light things.
At the Metro, you can get those at the Metro truck stop.
They make your DOT numbers fluorescent.
That's great.
LED fluorescent DOT numbers.
Yeah. TA and Metro, they just joined up together. They sell the DOT beacons, Kumar.
Yeah, now it's Miles Truck Stop instead of
Almost
TA.
a DOT flashlight or spotlight.
Man.
That's great. It was funny today when Kumar gave me the question or the history of trucking, and I read through it. And I was thinking, when I first read, I had to turn the page on that one, and I was thinking he was going to go with the TA, and now I know where it's at, Wapakoneta, Ohio. Because Christian was making fun of me, or Wapakoneta, whatever.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, but because Christian was making fun of me, I didn't know, and I'm from Ohio, and it wasn't the TA in Wapakoneta. It was the Metro on the I-10. What do you know? So, all right. So Kumar loses. Christian pays. Write it down. $20.
Just send the request now, Kumar.
And yeah,
I think Kumar needs skin in the game. I think every bet you should go 50-50.
Ooh.
Boy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh
You
boy.
guys going to have to pay me more.
So
No, you just have to win more, and then Russ can pay you less.
you got to read about trucking more, or we do like one janitorial question, and one trucking question.
Yeah.
You'll go for it.
What is the best thing to put on the toilet?
What don't you mix with ammonia?
Yeah.
Bleach. Done.
Diesel fuel.
That's great. All right. Listen, thanks, guys, for joining us for episode 46. And next week, like Christian said,
DPF alternatives.
DPF alternatives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Junior Reyes and Chris Buray.
That's going to be great to talk to them about what they do and how to save fuel based on how the results from using their service
and the preventative measures, so you don't have
yes.
large DPF issues.
And you've been using it. You've been doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
oh,
it's really,
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Otherwise, I would have deleted every truck I had if it wasn't for them.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you paying? Like $600 for the cleaning? Is it?
Yeah, it depends on the stages. They have multiple stages, so it's not one size fits all. But I mean, I think the cool thing is when I was talking to Chris, he wants to teach everyone about what to do to make sure you don't get into the problem.
Yeah.
What are the signs that your truck's going to tell you, and how to make sure you don't get taken at a dealership for a shake and bake for the same cost as getting the right cleaning. So
yeah, that's great. Because I know back in the day when I was on the road, they would do the so-called shake and bake where they bake it in a kiln. Bake it in a kill because it killed me. It was like $4,000, $5,000 back then.
Yep.
To get everything taken apart.
And 3 months later, you do it all over again.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's a great thing we're gonna have next week. And other than that, you guys be safe on the road. Kevin, Ray, Jim Mackey, and Lee.
Kumar,
be safe in the Subaru. Yeah. Kumar, I want you to try the splitting those gears in the Subaru on your way home. See if you can get 15 out of 13.
And pick up Jimmy Hoffa.
All right, guys. Christian.
And, hey,
go ahead.
Talkin Truckin on everything. No G's. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Also, is Lee here? Lee, are you here?
I think he lost his. Yeah, I think he lost his signal.
Well, I'll just plug this for him. He's got a fundraiser going, and I have the links on Talkin Truckin's Facebook page, and it's in our link tree. So anywhere you can see our bio, you can find it. It is if it'll load, because I figured he'd want this. Okay, so this is a fundraiser for an alternative educational farm camp for kids.
Yeah, Lee and his wife are, they have some, some kind of gardening thing that they've been doing for a while, and he'd be better to explain it, but he's not here. But it's a great thing they're doing for the kids in their community. Not only their children, but all school-age children. So a bunch of us have donated to it. So I think it's a great cause. So yeah, check it out on our Facebook. Is there a website or something, Kumar?
Yeah, it's on Give Send Go. You'll be able to find the link on the Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. If you just click on the link tree, you'll be able to find the link in that.
Cool.
So.
Lee's a great guy. We support you, Lee. And Christian, you got anything else?
I don't. No, I do not have anything else, Russ, for
Doty?
change. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Are we still on air?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything.
You're in the air.
Okay, I got parking without violating, so I'm happy.
No, it was a
that.
family emergency. I just got a couple questions about, so I just.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's Doty going to get this chair, man? I mean, it does every time he moves in that chair.
I got ripped off. That's what I got.
Oh, you're not getting it done now at all?
No, he sends me. I don't know.
Gets
he sends me these pics. Yeah, he sends me these pics, like the cut out leather with the stitching on it, but it's like not on a seat. I was like, I could cut out leather.
Yeah. Just send another $100. I'll send you another picture.
Yeah. Right. So,
yeah. Speaking of that,
what's going on?
So we and before we get out of here, we've been talking about this, before the show, and we're sound checking and stuff. Mike's been busy.
Speckled trout.
But it's done now, so Mike can tell all our friends of the show and drivers on our fleet and Dawson fleet that don't know, what's the new business that you and your family bought, Mike?
Oh yeah, fish stalkers. It's a bait shore. We'll talk about it more next week, but or the week after when our guest, we don't have a guest, but yeah, it's fishstalkers.com. A lot of work to do. It's just open weekends right now, Friday through Sunday.
It's a bait shop. in
Yeah, it's a bait and tackle
Springs,
shop.
where-
My in Dunedin, Florida.
Dunedin?
Mike, if you're going to want to plug this thing, we're going to need some sponsorship money. Just,
Yeah.
and
I'll
Stalkers
have,
with a Z, right? Stalkers with a Z.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll have
Some live bait.
No, the kids will be. I bought it for the kids. The kids will be running it. I'll have an office there, still doing the trucking stuff. But
Great.
yeah, it's this right here.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
You got there fast. That was wow.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, right.
Well deserved, man. Well deserved.
Right on.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you.
So
What's that show? Wicked Tuna?
he'll be
Oh, it's-
he'll be catching minnows and putting them in buckets and booking freight, planning loads at the
Yeah,
same
right.
time.
Shoot them, Elizabeth.
No, I told the kids that, there's a lot of work to do before they open full time, but I said they got to build me an office in the back if they want any help from me there. So that's why I'm not there now. They're there, but I'm not.
Yeah. Why does this keyboard smell fishy?
Right.
So drivers, if you want to do a 34 in Florida at Mike's house, stop on by. For starters. Rent a
your
jet
pole.
ski, pontoon boat, whatever. No, I'm just kidding.
Charter.
There's jet ski rentals around the corner.
Yeah,
Causeway.
there you go. So, all right. Well, episode 46 in the books. Our friends at Truckworks Kenworth, Brian that was on with us. Thanks, Brian. Over the Road Apparel, Prime Wellness and Performance, Al's Quality Market, the Gator Drive-Thru. And be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Follow us on all social media. Talkin Truckin, no G's. Let's ride. Go Browns, go Guardians, and go Cavaliers.